Greetings, sports fans, and welcome back to another Breath of Fresh Air webcast on YouTube. I am Charles Taylor, and I'm riding solo for this one. Patrick should be back with us maybe next week. He's busy with life too, just like I was. I was actually out of the country for a couple of weeks, and I am glad to be back. And a lot of stuff has happened since I was gone. So let's get caught up with it. Let's just jump right into the topics. So let's start with Kevin Durant. I know this has been dissected every which way, but I haven't had the chance to give you guys my thoughts on it. So here are my thoughts on Kevin Durant leaving. Of course, he's going to the Golden State Warriors, 2 years, 54.3 million, and he leaves the Oklahoma City Thunder high and dry. So my personal opinion on this, I'm disappointed in the move. I honestly thought he would stay with Oklahoma City. The situation was good. They had a young roster. You still have Russell Westbrook there, and you got to the Western Conference Finals uh, and almost beat a team. You should have beat. You ended up going to the team that you should have beat, Aaron. You couldn't beat, but we'll get to that in a minute. But with OKC, he had a great situation going there. They made it to the Western Conference Finals, should have been in the NBA Finals, but I guess he feels he has a better chance to win a championship with Golden State. I guess if you do have the chance to get with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, I can understand where you could feel that way. But overall, I'm just disappointed in the move. So let me go to Oklahoma City and the management. If you are their management, don't be disappointed. Obviously, you're going to be disappointed because you lost one of the best players in the league, but you did everything possible to keep this man. Everything. You built a young roster around him. You did everything. You got a new coach, rookie head coach in Billy Donovan that you saw great success with, particularly in the playoffs. And you made a move to get better. You got Victor Oladipo from the Orlando Magic in the Serge Ibaka trade, along with the draft pick Sabonis and Ilyasova, who can also score. You did everything you could to keep this man. So Kevin Durant decided he was going to leave. He was going to leave anyway. I personally think he already had in his mind he was going to leave before the season, last season even started. That's just how I felt. The way everything broke down, that's how I feel about this move for him to go to the Warriors. So if you're Oklahoma City, I know it's really, really tough right now. That community is probably still heartbroken, but the management did everything they could have done. So don't be mad at the management. As far as Kevin Durant goes, people want to make comparisons between what he did going to the Warriors and what LeBron James did when he left the Cleveland Cavaliers to go to the Miami Heat back in the summer of 2010. There's no comparison there. I don't care what anybody says. There is no comparison there. The only similarity there is between what those two people did is the fact they both left. After that, the comparison stopped. Kevin Durant, what he did is worse than what LeBron James did. Now, people want to still be mad at LeBron about the decision show. I get that. I understand it. But LeBron went down to Miami. He joined D Wade and Chris Bosh to beat the team he could not beat with the Cleveland Cavaliers, which at that time was the Boston Celtics, and to a degree, the Orlando Magic when Dwight Howard was beasting. But Boston had the team when Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce joined Ray Allen, or excuse me, when Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen joined Paul Pierce in Boston. That was kind of looked at as a super team. With LeBron and the Cavs, they could not beat them. So he said he was going to go down to Miami, join forces with a couple of his boys, and then combine to beat Boston, which they did. What Kevin Durant is doing, this is worse. He's joining a team he could not beat. That's horrible. That's bad. Maybe this is the old school part of me. I understand the new school. I understand this is the way things are now with creating super teams. But I never agreed with somebody going to a team they could not beat. And the funny thing is, you should have beat Golden State. You had them down 3 games to 1 in the NBA, not the NBA finals, the Western Conference finals, and you just couldn't finish the deal. So why not come back, saddle up for another year? Russell Westbrook was going to be a free agent after next season anyway. So why not come back and make one more run? And then if you want to talk about the situation with money and the basketball situation, those were both better in OKC than they were in other places. So I don't know what Kevin Durant was thinking. I don't know what went into his thought process. I guess he was saying this is a basketball move and he wanted to grow more as a player. I don't know how much more he can grow being with Golden State, but that was the decision he came up with. And because of the decision for him to go to Golden State, this is worse than what LeBron James did because of the fact he is going to a team he just simply could not beat. So basically, he's just saying, if I can't beat them, join them. Basically, that's what he's saying. So we'll see how everything works out, but I'm disappointed in the move by Kevin Durant. I personally thought he was going to stay in Oklahoma City, but then again, if Dwayne Wade could leave the Miami Heat to go to the Chicago Bulls, does anything really surprise you anymore with free agency? So we'll see how everything works out. Obviously, Golden State will be the favorites coming into the season because of all the firepower they have. But stranger things have happened. And just because they look good on paper, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win the title. So let's just wait till the season starts. We still have a few more months to dive into it, or before the season starts. And we'll just watch and see how the chemistry becomes and how they plan to incorporate all the weapons they have in their arsenal. One more thing about Golden State, their mantra for the last couple of years has been strength in numbers. Well, now with Kevin Durant coming there, they're kind of losing numbers. They lost Harrison Barnes, they lost Andrew Bogut, and we'll see what happens with a few of their other players they had to re-sign. So it'll be interesting. They definitely get better firepower wise. Anytime you can add Kevin Durant, it's hard to see where a team didn't improve. But it's going to be interesting to see how all that meshes. There's only one basketball out there, people. So we'll see how everything works out. Speaking of those other deals, I mentioned Dwayne Wade going to the Chicago Bulls. That was another surprise. I didn't see Dwayne Wade playing in any other uniform besides Miami, but I guess over time he felt like he was being a little bit underappreciated. He took less money for guys such as LeBron James and and Chris Bosh to come on down to Miami, and so they could continue to compete for titles. And he felt like he was just kind of being underpaid, underappreciated. So he goes to his hometown team, Chicago, and now they have a nice threesome up there with Rajon Rondo and Jimmy Butler and Dwayne Wade joining them. So we'll see how that works. They have no big people, of course, but but they can definitely run a small ball lineup, which seems to be the way set by Golden State to go in the league. So some of these other deals. Like I told all y'all before, when this TV rights deal kicks in, it is going to be bad, really, really bad on how a lot of these teams are going to overspend just because they can. Everybody has a little bit of extra change and they want to spend it. Just because you have a little bit of extra change does not mean you have to spend it, especially on players that quite simply aren't worth the money you're giving them. Let's run down some of these deals. Let's start off with the Memphis Grizzlies. You have Mike Conley. Mike Conley getting signed for $30 million a year. $30 million a year. He is the highest paid player in the league now. This for a guy who hasn't even made an all-star team. He's not even the best point guard in the Western Conference. He's probably at best fourth, at best, behind Steph Curry, Russell Westbrook, and Chris Paul. This is crazy. This is crazy. This man gets that much money to stay with Memphis. Obviously, if you're Memphis, you want to keep him because Mike Conley, he's a solid player. Not taking anything away from the man's abilities. He's a very solid player, but not worth $30 million a year. That is ridiculous. And then some of these other deals. Bismack Biyombo signs for 4 years, $72 million. with the Orlando Magic. Alan Crabb signs for 4 years and 74 million with the Portland Trail Blazers. You have Timothy Mozgov, 4 years, 64 million to sign with the Lakers. Matthew Dellavedova signs for a 4 year, $38 million contract, which is over 9 million a year in average. And then you have Jeremy Lin signing for over 12 million a year with the Brooklyn Nets. The common theme with all these deals, with the exception of the Mike Conley's deal with Memphis, is these guys are all rotation players. They're bench players. And they're getting paid starter money, or beyond most of these starters. They're getting paid that type of money. This is crazy, but it's not surprising because with this TV rights deal kicking in, it's only going to get worse before it gets better. So since everybody has a little bit of change, now they want to go ahead and throw the money at these guys who just aren't worth that type of money. Just because, again, I stress, just because you have money, and this is a life lesson too, by the way, just because you have money does not mean you have to spend that money, especially when that money you're spending is not worth it. These deals are beyond sickening, honestly. And I've heard some players from other leagues go ahead and they said they are they signed up to play the wrong sport, because apparently if you play basketball, you can get paid way more money than the other sports. And that's not to say you're not getting paid well in football and in or in baseball or hockey for that matter. I mean, hell, if I got $1 million contract, I think I would be set for life, regardless of the time. But for these guys, Alan Crabb, Bismack Biyombo, Jeremy Lin, Matthew Dellavedova, for these guys to get double-digit salaries, double-digit million salaries, it's sickening. Really, cannot believe these deals are coming out like this. But we knew this would be a worry, because while these teams have some extra money because of the TV rights deal, now they feel like they have to overpay. So Bismack Biyombo, who just had a pretty decent postseason with the Toronto Raptors, because of the fact Jonas Valanciunas got hurt, now he can cash in and get 18 million a year. Alan Crabb had a decent postseason coming off of the bench for Portland. Now he can get over 18 million a year. Timothy Mozgov didn't even play for the Cleveland Cavaliers last year. He barely played, especially when Tyronn Lue came to the team, or became the coach of the team, and now he gets 16 million a year. Dellavedova, same thing, didn't really play, to 9-10 million a year. And Jeremy Lin, I think he's still riding off the hype he created when he was with the Knicks a few years ago. And apparently Brooklyn feels like he's still that good. So get ready, people, because this is only the tip of the iceberg with these deals. There's going to be a lot of players who's going to continue to get overpaid. So let's move on to baseball. And we had the All-Star break pass, and we were into the second week, or into the into the second half of the season. And there is going to be a lot of interesting moves being talked about as the trade deadline approaches. Well, here's what we know right now. Here's what's going on. You have the Boston Red Sox and the Cleveland Indians in the American League playing some very, very good baseball. They are leading their respective divisions. The Red Sox actually took the lead from the Baltimore Orioles last night after beating the San Francisco Giants 11-7. Baltimore has been struggling. They've lost 3 in a row to the Yankees in New York, and now they are a half game behind Boston in the AL East standings for first place. Cleveland, this team, it's time to take them seriously. If you were not taking them seriously before, it's time to start. Cleveland is for real. Their pitching staff is deep. They are hitting the ball, and they are right now in Kansas City, or they were in Kansas City, smacking the Royals, the defending World Series champs. Beat them 11-4 last night. So Cleveland, they're a threat. They're here. They're going to be heard from. with the way they're playing, and also they have Terry Francona as their manager, a guy who knows how to win, a guy who was the manager, of course, for the Boston Red Sox when they broke their curse back in 2004. They are for real. So watch the Cleveland Indians. As for some of the other teams, the Chicago Cubs, looking like they're starting to get back rolling again. They beat the Mets 2 out of 3 during in the 3-game series. Sorry, but they look like they're starting to pick it up again, starting to get back to the way they were playing in the first half of the season. And I mentioned the San Francisco Giants, so I will get to them. Well, I'll talk about them now, and then I'll get on the Texas Rangers in a minute. But as for the Giants, they haven't won since they came off the All-Star break. They are 0-5. The concern shouldn't be that bad because I think they're going to get players back. They're going to get some key people such as Hunter Pence back here soon. And they're in the NL West. They have a pretty substantial lead. The Los Angeles Dodgers look like they're in turmoil, and Clayton Kershaw is in danger, it sounds like, of not being able to play for the rest of the year or pitch for the rest of the year because of a setback in rehab attempts for a back injury. So we'll continue to monitor that. But the Giants are in pretty good shape still. Even though they've lost 5 in a row coming out of the All-Star break, they're in pretty good shape still. As for the Texas Rangers, they might not be in good shape at all. They have lost 5 out of 6 coming out of the All-Star game or All-Star break, and they just got swept in Anaheim against the Angels. Not a good sign if you're the Rangers. They have a lot of issues that are starting to pile up on them. That besides the two the two pitchers in the staff, the two aces basically, Cole Hamels and Yu Darvish, the rest of their rotation has not produced. Their bullpen appears to be in shambles, and they're not getting good clutch hitting. Also, Prince Fielder just went on the DL for a herniated disc. That doesn't sound good at all. He may be done for the year. And if that is the case, this will be the second time in 3 seasons he's been done with the herniated disc. Just not a good look for the Rangers. They are looking bad. Oh, by the way, the Houston Astros are coming. They're only, I think, 3.5 games back. So there is a lot of stuff going on here in Texas with the Rangers, and they're going to have to decide if they're going to make any type of a trade, if they're going to try to stay packed and wait for some of their players to get healthy. But they don't look good at all. There are some concerns there with the Rangers, and and if they have Prince Fielder out, then that's a big hole in the lineup they're going to have to try to fill if they're going to make their run toward the World Series. Because I said they would play the Cubs in the World Series for this year. And right now, I mean, I'm still good with it, but not as confident as I was before. So we will get to a lot of the stuff with the trade deadline for the next show when Patrick returns, because he's the baseball guy. That is his favorite sport. So I would like to get his reviews and his thoughts on what teams should make what deals and what teams should sell, what teams should try to push to make a wild card. We'll jump into all of that later on this week or next week. So for some of the other happenings I have missed, we have soccer. We haven't talked about soccer too much on this show, but let me go ahead and give props to Portugal. So Portugal won the Euro 2016 tournament in France. That was being hosted by France, and they beat France in their national stadium, the Stade de France in Saint-Denis, which is a suburb of Paris, of course. They won 1-0 without their star player, Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, look, when Ronaldo went out, I thought it was over for Portugal. I felt a little bad for him, for Ronaldo, because this was one of those moments. There's been a lot of speculation in the air. He may not play too much more for the national team. He's 31 years old, and the chances of him being able to win a title with his home country were starting to dwindle. We all know how good he is with this club team, Real Madrid. When he's been with Portugal, they've come up short more often than not. Back in 2004, they lost to Greece in their home country in the final of the Euro back in 2004. So here was a chance for him to make amends, and he gets hurt with a knee injury. Everything looked bleak for Portugal. But with the goal by Yadir in stoppage time, not stoppage time, in extra time, excuse me, Portugal was able to come out of there and win the Euro Cup. With this victory, you can pretty much cement Ronaldo as one of the best players in soccer history. Now, again, we know what he did for the club team, but for the national team, it's been non-existent. With this victory, nobody can say anything about Ronaldo anymore, and he has probably jumped over Lionel Messi in that regard for best player. Lionel Messi, he's had his chances with Argentina 3 years in a row. 3 years in a row, they've gotten to a final of a major tournament. In 2014, of course, they lost the World Cup final to Germany in Brazil. In the last couple of years, they lost Copa America in penalty shootouts in the final to Chile. First one was down in Chile when they were hosting it. And in this year, it was here in the US, and they got beat again in a penalty shootout. And Messi actually missed a penalty kick in that shootout. So you have to give props to Ronaldo. I haven't been the biggest fan of Ronaldo for the longest, but you have to give props to him and give props to those Portugal teammates because they basically had to carry him because he wasn't in there. And those other guys stepped up big time and was able to get the job done. So I'm sure they're still partying in Portugal's capital of Lisbon right now. So Portugal, props to you, and give props to Chile for winning the Copa America as well. So let's see, is there anything else I missed? No, I think I have caught up with everything. I think so. There are some other topics going on that we will cover on the next show we will do, such as the Rooney Rule in football, the thing with minority coaches or the lack of minority coaches. We'll talk about that. And we can also cover some of the NFL stuff that's coming up. Training camps will be starting in about a week or so. So things are about to start picking up. I know everybody is getting geared up for football. People want to see if the Denver Broncos can repeat as Super Bowl champions. Of course, they had the deal with Von Miller. They got taken care of, and he's making $70 million in guaranteed money. So people want to see what he can do. Tom Brady is going to stop fighting that 4-game suspension, so he will serve those first 4 games out for the Patriots. We'll see how they deal with that, but if any team is equipped to deal with the loss of a guy like Tom Brady, it is the New England Patriots. So a lot of things still left to talk about, and we will be sure to cover them next show. So once again, it is great to be back, and I don't plan on having another outage like the 3 weeks or so that I wasn't able to come on here and talk to everybody. So once again, this will conclude this show for this time around. Hopefully we'll see you later on this week, definitely early next week, if not before then. So continue to like the page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the page on Facebook, go ahead and +1 it on Google Plus. And those new additions, I think, are still, well, they're in the works, but I think they will start to happen. Finally, life has continued to hit me in the face, but I think I'm in a good stage now to where we can start seeing some of these new additions to the show. So until next time, we will talk soon. Everybody have a good rest of the week and continue to monitor what is going on in the world of sports. Take care.